Welcome to the Pet Biz Podcast. Join us as we interview experts who share insider tips for success in the pet-focused business world. Leash up your curiosity and tune in as we talk to one of our featured businesses today. Today, we have a very interesting speaker, Lindsey Bronson. She's a groomer and owns Bark Avenue, which is a fantastic name. But the reason I wanted to talk to you today, Lindsey, is because you're just such an inspiration, because you have started this amazing private Facebook group for pet professionals. And maybe you can explain a little bit better than I can about what it does, but I definitely can advocate that you are doing something really good for us dog trainers and such.
Sure, no problem. So the goal of the group when I first started it was to provide a place for pet professionals that was private, where we could all get together in a group and talk about how to tactfully speak to our clients when we're maybe frustrated or don't know what to say, or want to speak to them in a way where we could convey our message without feeling like we're being walked on. So many times I see that, maybe we're trying to set forth a policy that we've been given and we let the client walk all over us because we don't know how to properly convey what we're trying to say.
Excellent. And, I just want to add, because Lindsey and I were chatting earlier, this isn't just something that occurs in the pet industry. It's everywhere. Business is tough. It's tough to run a business, and emotions run hot. If we get a bad review, if a client's kind of bullying us or is mean to one of our staff, it's very stressful. But it's not just in the pet industry. It happens with other businesses too. But I love that you're doing this, and what inspired you to help us this way?
So we, as groomers, have a network on Facebook where this was being posted all the time. People would post questions. Hey, I had this client, this happened. How do I handle it? And that's a really broad question. So you would get people who would answer, oh, this is how I would do it. And it would be business advice. Or this is how I would do it. You should implement this policy. Or you would get the people who would respond with verbiage. And so many times the sub comments, like the threads under the thread, that's what people were actually looking for. They were looking for that verbiage, and there was nowhere in any of the groups that I could find that provided that. So my goal when creating the page that I did was to provide a place where it was just laser focused. This group that I created is not meant to judge anybody's business model. It's not meant to tell you how to run your business. It is simply for you to go in and tell me what you want to say so that I can tell you a better way to say it that's going to convey your message. And the whole community is like that in that page. If you're not giving verbiage advice, the comment gets deleted, or at least we hope it does. With the several thousand, I think we're up over 12,000 people in there now. So the admin group doesn't always get to every comment, but we try. We try to erase or delete any comment that doesn't have verbiage in it, because that is the focus of the group.
And have you faced any challenges when you first started the group, evolving in the group to have so many members?
Yes, absolutely we have. When I very first started, I should probably rewind just a little bit. When Bark Avenue first was born, I did have a business partner. It was a wonderful experience. She has since left and moved away. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about her, but since it's been almost 3 years now, so Bark Avenue is now mine alone. And her and I started this group in Facebook land together. And at that point, we weren't post approvaling. You have to post when you make a post, you have to have approval. So we sit behind the scenes and approve your post. As long as it's asking for verbiage, we'll approve it. When it started to get bigger, that's when we turned that feature on. At first, you could just post kind of haphazardly. You could post and, it was under 500 people. It didn't get crazy and get out of hand. There was no ranting. There was no less than ideal situations happening. As it got bigger, I quickly found out that 2 people was not enough to handle it. And we had to turn on post approvals. And then that still wasn't enough. We were drowning in member requests and post approvals and comment retention or comment moderating, I guess. And so I reached out to the group. I think at that point we might have been at 2,000 or 3,000 members. I reached out to the group and I said, hey, does anybody want to help moderate this group? I need, like-minded people who can help me moderate the focus of the group. I just need people to help me approve people. I need people who can help me approve posts and keep the group focused. So now I think that we're up to 8 moderators plus myself, or maybe 7 plus myself. And even now we're almost to a point where we need to add more because the 8 of us can't keep up all the time.
That's incredible. Maybe share a little bit about like how, what type of pet professionals would get value from the group and where to find the group, obviously Facebook.
Yes.
And how that process works with, if I need help, I join the group, and what's that process look like?
So the way to find the group is you get into Facebook land, and just in the search bar, you type up Tactful Communication for the Pet Services industry. Maybe I can't remember if it ends with industry or not. It's kind of one of those, you look it up so often, Tactful just pops up and I click it. There is one that is unmoderated. That is not my group. My group is heavily moderated on purpose. There's one that is not heavily moderated. That is not my group. That group I'm not a part of, so I can't speak on that. But once you get into that group, it asks you questions. What are you, like, what is your business? Are you an owner? And do you understand the rules? The rules are listed very clearly. I think we have 7 or 8 rules that you need to follow. Be kind, be courteous, no screenshotting, extremely important. Do not screenshot. These are private information. You need to block out everybody's personal information down to the name of the client. Just because, Barbara Sue, we don't know it. Maybe somebody just so happens to know it on the page. Maybe they moved from your area to their area and you know this client and you can reach out to them. We don't want any of that happening. So you agree to all these rules. We let you in, and then say you need some help. You're going to type up your post as short and to the point as possible. Sometimes we need a little more information, but try to keep it short and sweet. One of us moderators will go through it, make sure it's, asking the proper questions, which would be, this is what I want to say. How do I say it better? And then we will approve it. You'll get comments pretty quickly because there's so many members. And then one of our biggest other rules that a lot of people don't realize is don't delete your post. We want to leave it up so that other people can benefit from it later. And that's common that people will delete it thinking that, I got my answer, I don't need it up anymore. There is a way to close your comments so that you don't have to be, harassed by your notifications anymore. But we really, really want it left up for others to be able to get the help later.
So in that case, it may be beneficial if people use the search, the little magnifying glass, the little search, and say I'm like raising my prices, what's some good language to help me announce to my clients? Maybe I could search in that magnifying glass, raising prices, and then see the other posts that have come up to maybe be able to get enough ideas to resolve it.
Absolutely. That's probably the biggest one that we get is, how do I raise my prices? How do I tell my clients I'm raising my prices? There's hundreds, if not thousands of posts on that specific thing. We will always answer it. We'll approve the post just so that it's easier for you. But that is a great way. Hit the little, magnifying glass, ask your question. More than likely it's been asked before. The group has been alive for several years, so chances are you'll be able to find it. If you don't want to be, called out specifically, there also is an anonymous post Just like many other groups, we don't have that feature turned off, so you can post anonymously in the group.
I think that would be smart to explore that option, just because you've got to protect yourself and be respectful. But, like you said, there's no screenshotting allowed. So meaning I can't screenshot something and then share it and smash you and ruin your life, basically. But be careful. Post anonymously. Sometimes that might be more advantageous. Now, what kind of posts might not get approved? Like if I sent something through where I have like a bad review and I want to know how to respond to it, would that be a post that you would approve and help me with?
So the way that you just asked it would not be approved. If you said, here's my bad review, I didn't like Fluffy's groom. So I'm the client. I didn't like Fluffy's groom. The client was saying, this groomer that I had was rude, and I won't be returning. Now you, as the groomer, is going to contact the Tactful page, and you're going to say, hey, how do I respond to this? That's not going to get approved. We're going to shoot it back to you with feedback that says, what do you want to say? What is the goal that you're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to speak to the masses that are going to look at these reviews later? Are you trying to address the client in their bad review? What is the purpose that you're trying to get to in your reply? Then when you come back with it again, you need to be more specific, because I'm not you. I'm not in your brain. I don't know what it is that you want to say. So I can't just make it up for you. What you asked is more so business advice than it is the laser focus of verbiage.
Okay. And if I sent you the review, I should block out the client's name. And maybe I could just, for me, I love ChatGPT. I could prepare like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and just run it through the ChatGPT, then put it up for you guys to be a little bit more like working with you through the process, working with you rather than just do it for me. We want to work together to get to the end result.
So you could do that. That's what the sub threads are for. A lot of us, I personally, I dry dogs and get on there at the same time. So I can't necessarily be on a chat with you, but I can post my comment. You can reply to it. And when I have another free moment, I can get back on and reply back and forth in the comment thread. So I can't always, be actively engaged with you, but I definitely can pay attention to my notifications and get back with you. And you also, really, really important, you need to block out your business name too. So not just the name of the client or yourself. You need to block out your business name when you're putting up your review for us to check out. And no businesses are allowed to be joined in our page. It gives too much information.
Okay, this is all excellent information because, a lot of us, we sign up for a group. We're like, yes, I agree, but we don't really read all of this. So I love that you're able to share this now. Yes. So if there's anything else too, as we're chatting that you think of, just throw it out here because we want to share this with the community. But we also want to be respectful of you and myself and all of the people in the group so that we don't say something today that, could come back to haunt us. Like, you're doing this amazing thing just to help. Like, is there anything you get from this?
I do this completely for free. I do not benefit from it at all. And I think that's a common thing. People in the group think that I'm paid for this. They think that because I'm offering, these are just things out of my brain. This isn't something that I went to school for. This isn't something that, I'm paid for. Like I said, I literally just saw a need in our industry and decided that I wanted to provide everybody a place to do it. So if I don't get back to you or, one of my moderators doesn't get back to you, it's not because, we don't want to. It's because we also have lives. I personally have 4 children. I have an adult in college. I have 2 at home and 1 that lives with their mom. So I have a very busy life and I can't always come back and approve your post right away. So we get that a lot. We get some people that get very frustrated with us because we're not immediately responding to them. Well, it's because it's not our 9 to 5. We're providing for our family. That's our 9 to 5. So we just do this out of a labor of love.
Yeah, that's so kind of you guys. And yeah, so everyone be patient. I guess my next question is, what type of pet professionals do you find would benefit from the group? Obviously, dog trainers and groomers I see in the group. Is there anybody that I'm not thinking of? Pet.
Everyone does. So pet sitters, groomers, veterinary technicians, even vets, dog trainers. Who else do we have in there? Dog walkers, um, boarding facilities. I mean, if you can think of them and they have to do with pets, they would benefit. Um, animal people are animal people, not people people. We work with animals for a reason. I I joke with all of my clients about it. You have to be a special kind of person to do the PR part of it. And it is not something that all of us groomers are meant for. I envy those who go to seminars and speak in front of all the students who happen to be like myself. One day I would like that to be me. I'm happy to go speak about this. And if you didn't know, this is my first time talking about this group, but I do have intentions to bring this to our seminars for the masses because I think it's so important. But it's not something that a lot of groomers know how to do. They just don't know how to communicate with people. It's like having a doctor that has terrible bedside manner. You know that they're giving you the best care, but man, they just don't know how to talk. So it's kind of the same concept. I wanted to create a way for you to be a well-rounded groomer where you can talk to your clients to where they feel as special as the care you're giving their pet when they're not around.
And I think that our businesses, they're our babies. And we get emotional if somebody's bullying us or bullying one of our staff or just gives us a bad review. Like it's super stressful. For me, before I found your group, I would go in ChatGPT. I would put, any kind of message in there. This is what so-and-so wrote. Help me with my reply. And that's where I was. But I read the messages in the group. It doesn't even sound like it's written by ChatGPT. Like you guys are really writing these things or
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It really is coming out of my brain. It truly is. I'm laying in bed with my dog and I'm like, oh, I should go check up on my group and see how everyone's doing. In the first 3 posts, I'm like, oh, that feels like something I can reply to. And I don't honestly, a lot of times I tell people, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself because I'm not going to read the 99 comments that came before me. I'm just going to write down what I think you need to hear. And I reply with what I would say to my clients. And people appreciate that. They want to hear what I would say, and that's what I do it for. Now, I will say there's a lot of different styles of communication, and that is why it's such a group. Like, the group of it is so important. There's the people that like to over-explain, and they tell you the whole story. Like, in a negative review, they want to give you all the information. There's the people that are short and to the point, and there's the in-between. So you kind of really get all of the options when it's going through a comment feed. And you can pick one and copy paste, take it right there and put it in your review as your reply. Or you can pick and choose from each, thing that is posted and create your own as well.
Yeah. And hopefully we won't need your, tactful responses on a continuous basis. Hopefully this is something that just comes up maybe once every 6 months or once a year where you get one of those red flag clients and you need some help. But I did notice some of the responses, they almost seem like you're advocating for the business, for the dog groomer, for the dog trainer. There's not a ton of the bending over backwards. So sorry. You seem to just push people away a little bit sometimes. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly or not, but I like that because sometimes I'm a little bit of a sissy when it comes to standing up for me. And so I have my business partner and he's, tough guy and he'll stand up for us, get on the phone with the clients and so on. And, protect our business and ourselves. And that's kind of the sense that I get from the group, which is nice to have.
There's a lot of things that go into that, because it didn't used to be that way for me. I used to be kind of a sissy too. This is my second business. My first business was in the town I grew up in. And I closed that to move here and open my second business. So a lot of things changed when I opened my second business. I didn't want to be walked on. But to kind of touch on that, when you see those things, I would almost say this is my tagline: do not apologize for things that aren't your fault. Do not say, unfortunately, I'm busy. It's a good thing that you're busy. You shouldn't feel bad about that. Those are things that are good. And so many times people apologize or say it's unfortunate when they aren't. And so it almost gives the client the leg up. When you're saying those things, then they feel powerful. And why do they feel powerful? When it is you that you opened this business. They didn't. They're paying you. So you have to remember that when you're communicating with these clients. And that doesn't mean that we don't respect them, but they need to give you respect as well. And that is the other reason I felt that this group was so necessary.
Do you have any success stories, any feedback from group members that have particularly stuck with you?
I don't have anything specific because there's so much that is posted all the time. And I get so much thrill out of when people post their specific stories. I just saw one the other day, and I couldn't even pull it up, to be honest with you, because they come across my feed so often, of people who just simply stand up for themselves and say, no, this is how it's going to be. Maybe not in those words, but they'll say, this is my policy. This is how it's going to work out. Does that work for you? And the client will say, yep, book me this day. Thank you. And that's it. That's all it comes down to. You wouldn't do these things. This is our catchphrase. Would you do that at the grocery store? Would you do it at your doctor's office? You wouldn't. So why are we doing it at the grooming salon? Why are we doing it to our trainer? Why are we doing it to any of these people?
Yeah, very good point. Could you share some to help us pet professionals to communicate more effectively with our clients, our employees? Any tips?
To answer your question there, I feel like some of the biggest tips are just have policies in place. It's really important to know what you want before you speak to anyone. In all reality, you need to know where you lie in your business. So standard operating procedures are super important, because in those standard operating procedures should be your verbiage. I personally have a prepayment clause in my whole business model. I do not take a client unless they have prepaid for their appointment. So every dog that walks in my salon has already paid. And if they don't pay by 5 o'clock the night before, there is an automated message that goes out. It's in my standard operating procedure. Both my girls know what it says. They literally copy and paste it and send it to their clients and cancel their appointment. They do that because I know what I wanted my business model to look like. There's no reason for you not to know it ahead of time. Part of the problem and why tact gets lost is because you're flying by the seat of your pants. And that's really a dangerous thing to do in business. And it took me a minute to figure that out.
Yeah, that makes good sense. One of the things that I do is I have all of the things that I talk about again and again. I just feel like I'm repeating myself. I systemize those so that they're pre-written. And sometimes it's if clients ask, like, why do you have this in your contract? And it's about our insurance. I have that pre-written out because I always forget. What am I supposed to say there? And also it's just written out so beautifully that I know that they're going to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So just having like pre-written out templates for you to use, but also for your staff, so everything is uniform, could really help. So that makes really good sense.
Yep.
What do you recommend when our emotions run high? Like we get a bad review or something. Should we just take a pause?
The reviews are really hard for me personally, but not for the reason you may think. I long ago had to come to terms that not everybody's going to love me. I am a people pleaser at heart. I really want everybody to be happy with what I'm doing. And you have to remember that, number one, in my personal grooming atmosphere, there's enough dogs for everyone. If they're not happy with my personal situation, that's okay. They'll find someone that it works for. So you don't always have to defend the reason that they're unhappy with you. I have on my personal page, you can actually go look it up on Google. I have more written out bad reviews than I have written out good reviews. So I have a lot of 5-star reviews with no words under them. And I have like 2 with 1-star reviews with no words on them. And I have more that are written out that are 1-star reviews because they don't like my policies. But they're very clear in what they don't like. And I had to realize that I don't need to defend my policies. They're my policies because that's how I want to run my business. So when that emotional response comes, I really had to stop and think, like, is it worth it to me to get myself worked up because they're mad at a policy that I created? Because then I'm just kind of running in this circle of things that I created. Or do you just let it go and let that client go, and they're not your perfect client anyway? Now, if it's not policy related and it's valid, then I give myself 24 hours. I sit back and I go, okay, what could I have done better? What could my staff have done better? And how can I make it right? Or can I make it right? If I can't make it right, then that's going to determine how I answer. Because if I can't make it right, then I need to be speaking to the other people that are going to be reading the review and not the reviewer. Now, if I can make it right, then I need to respond to the reviewer. And that does matter.
I think as we're talking about reviews now, it's making me think us dog trainers, we're kind of shy about asking for reviews. It's a bit of a delicate thing. We always treat it with kid gloves, and then we end up like not asking for reviews ever. So like with me, I automated our system so that we don't actually ask for reviews until the client graduates. And then when they're coming for boarding, and we automated that part, but we actually have it so that the client gets a survey first. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate our service? They come back with a 10, boom, the system will ask for a review. If they come back with anything less, an automated reply goes out and says, thank you for, being honest and blah, blah, blah. But I really do like that survey because at least I can kind of pre-qualify them for the review, because you get those people that are like, oh my gosh, they're amazing, 1 star. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. So just trying to kind of like protect yourself, it can just consume you, and then you don't ask for reviews. So that was kind of my strategy. Do you have any other suggestions for trainers and groomers to get more reviews?
So personally, I don't. And the reason I don't is because I'm a very word of mouth salon. The city in which I live is pretty small. I mean, it's not super small, but it's not super big. We're in a farm town. It's recently grown a lot, but word of mouth is my best friend. So I would much rather them leave with a happy dog and be talking than getting online and reviewing. Honestly, I have found that when I was asking for reviews, it doesn't increase the reviews I get by me asking. So to be honest with you, I don't have any sort of, I guess, tips or tricks on that. It's just my personal that has worked for me up to this point. I just want them to be happy. I want them to enjoy their dog. And if they don't, that's okay, because there's enough dogs for everyone, and that client just wasn't meant for me, and that's okay.
Awesome. And do you guys have any future plans for the group, or like maybe you speaking at the IACP, APDT, anything like that, or writing a book?
So I did actually touch on that just a little bit earlier in this interview. I am just taking baby steps. Like I said, this is my first interview regarding this group. I would love to do, it's called Barkley, is our kind of groomer seminar and expo place. And I've been in contact with some of the, leading people that put that on. And I intend to do some lectures there and kind of see where it goes from there. My children are teenagers, so that kind of consumes me at this point. But in the future, I do imagine that I will, broaden my horizons for speaking with the group. Right now, I probably need to find more people to help moderate because it literally grows by probably 50 people every month at least. And that's probably a low number.
Wow. Is there anything that we can do to thank you, to contribute to the group?
I think the biggest thing that I could ask from all of you guys as pet professionals is to remember that it is a labor of love. So be patient with us, please. And remember that we're not trying to pick on you. Like if we're responding to you in a way that you don't like, that's okay. You don't have to take our advice. We're just responding in a way that we would based on the words that you're giving. When you're asking for advice. And if you're giving advice to another person, make sure you're understanding that they may not like what you have to say either, and that's okay. It's just a group to help get the gears rolling, to get your thoughts in a place where you can do what's best for your business. And we're not there to give business advice. That's not the purpose of the group. There's tons of different groups that can do that. Oftentimes we will tag a group if it starts headed in that direction, especially for groomers, because I am a groomer and I'm a member of a lot of grooming groups. So if I see it heading in the wrong direction, I will tag a group and send you that way. So just remember that we're not trying to pick on you in any way, shape, or form. We're just there to help.
Excellent. Yeah, it's amazing like how the world has changed and how businesses that are you normally like enemies, frenemies, like we're all networking and supporting and helping each other. So this is just an amazing group, and I found it super beneficial. So hopefully that helped some of you that are listening. And I guess the best place for people to find you would be to go to the Tactful Communication for Pet Services Facebook group, and I'll post that in the description. So is there anything else you'd like to add, Lindsey?
No, I don't think so. I just really appreciate you having me. And I do want to add, I guess, one thing. I'm really bad about private messages because I probably get 30 a day from the people of the Tactful group. So if you're personal messaging me, I'm so sorry if I'm not responding to you. I do try and check them, but I get so many of them, so I'm so sorry if I don't get you. But otherwise, nope, that's all. And I really appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lindsey. From Bark Avenue, again, fantastic name. And
Thank you.
I'm Leanne, the host from Pet Biz Experts, a CRM for pet professionals. And thanks for joining us today, Lindsey.
No problem.
Thanks for tuning in to the Pet Biz Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed learning from our featured business expert today. Stay tuned for more insightful conversations and inspiring stories. Until our next podcast, bye for now.